altruistic well-wishers and constructive critics. Are you your dear Anya in fine fettle? It's Professor Suresh, delighted to be back for my 33rd video in process of publication on YouTube today, 25th of June 2020. Topic for discussion today is appropriate in 21st century: proliferation of lifestyle diseases. Disease is an impairment of health or a condition of abnormal functioning. Lifestyle means a pattern of individual practices and personal behavioral choices that are related to elevated or reduced health risk. The diseases which primarily arise from the abnormal lifestyle of a person are grouped under the term lifestyle diseases. Lifestyle, originally coined by Austrian psychologist Alfred Adler in 1929, means the way a person lives. It is a pattern of individual practices and personal behavioral choices that are related to elevated or reduced health risk. Lifestyles are born of a multitude of causes, from childhood determinants to personality makeup to influences in the cultural, physical, economic, and political environments. In recent times, these lifestyle patterns have modified significantly, which has led to increase in both physical and mental diseases in the world population. Such diseases have been grouped under the term lifestyle diseases. An alarming number of diseases fall under this category: obesity, cardiovascular diseases, depression, diabetes mellitus, metabolic syndrome, to name just a few. More disturbing is the fact that a majority of these diseases are interrelated in the sense that one of them can perpetuate the other, leading to a vicious cycle. In 2001, lifestyle diseases accounted for 46% of morbidity and 60% of mortality. More than 17 million people die prematurely each year as a result of the global epidemic of chronic diseases, which is a leading cause of death in the world today. The World Development Report 2004 showed that 77% and 50% of the years of life lost, shortly YLL for years of life lost, due to premature mortality were contributed by non-communicable diseases in high and middle income countries. Globally, non-communicable diseases contributed highest burden of years of lost lives, in that is 612 per lakh population as compared to 275 per lakh population, that is due to communicable diseases. The vast majority of cases are caused by a small number of known and preventable risk factors. Three of the most important risk factors are unhealthy diet, physical inactivity, and tobacco use. Childhood obesity and overweight has become a global epidemic. Several case studies have elucidated the relatedness of obesity to other lifestyle diseases. There is extensive documentation of consumption of high energy, high salt and sugar content and fatty foods by the adult population, and above average level of obesity among them. It's real junk food with the zero calories, they say, empty calories. For younger population, the risk of lifestyle disease looms larger. Not restricted to adults alone, lifestyle diseases have started hitting the kids as well. The shift in purchasing power and the coming in of technology have changed the way our life functions now. Less physical activity, more availability of resources, and no time to spare. We have become prey to some extremely uncommon diseases our grandparents had never even heard about back in the 60s and 70s. While there are communicable diseases like malaria, cholera, polio, which can be managed with the help of proper treatment, there are lifestyle diseases which can be prevented if healthy, active lifestyle is followed. Lifestyle diseases, as I said before, are defined as diseases linked with the people live their life. These are non-communicable diseases, shortly NCD. This is commonly caused by lack of physical activity, unhealthy eating, alcohol, drugs and smoking. Diseases that mostly have an effect on our lifestyle are heart disease, stroke, obesity and type 2 diabetes. The diseases that appear to increase in frequency as countries become more industrialized and people live longer can include Alzheimer's disease, arthritis, atherosclerosis, asthma, cancer, chronic liver disease or cirrhosis, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, metabolic syndrome, chronic kidney failure, osteoporosis, polycystic ovarian disease or syndrome, shortly PCOD or PCOS, stroke, depression, obesity, and vascular dementia. Some commenters maintain a distinction between diseases of longevity and diseases of civilization or diseases of affluence. Certain diseases such as diabetes, dental caries, and asthma appear at greater rates in young populations living in the Western world. Their increased incidence is not related to age, so the terms cannot accurately be used interchangeably for all diseases. Diet and lifestyle are major factors thought to influence susceptibility to many diseases. The whole world is forced to implement lockdowns due to the rapid spread of pandemic novel COVID-19, which is an adverse effect of eating junk food and unhealthy lifestyle, or it may be biowar against developing countries. In particular, drug abuse, tobacco smoking, and alcohol drinking, as well as lack of or too much exercise, can also increase the risk of developing certain diseases, especially later in life. In many Western countries, people began to consume more meat, dairy products, vegetable oils, tobacco, sugary foods, sugary beverages, especially all the carbonated beverages like Coke, Pepsi, and all that crap, and alcoholic beverages during the later half of the 20th century. People also developed sedentary lifestyles and greater rates of obesity. Rates of colorectal cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer, endometrial cancer, and lung cancer started increasing after this dietary change. People in developing countries whose diets still depend largely on low sugar, starchy foods with little meat or fat have lower rates of these cancers, like people living in rural areas of India. Causes are not just from smoking and alcohol abuse. Adults can develop lifestyle diseases through behavioral factors that impact on them. These can be unemployment, unsafe life, poor social environment, working conditions, stress, and home life can change a person's lifestyle to increase the risk of developing one of these diseases. According to a report published by Indian Council of Medical Research, shortly ICMR, in the year 2017, 3 of the 5 leading individual causes of disease burden in India were non-communicable, with ischemic heart disease and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, shortly COPD, as a top 2 causes, and stroke as the 5th leading cause. The range of disease burden among the states in 2017 was 9-fold for ischemic heart disease, 4-fold for chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and 6-fold for stroke, and 4-fold for diabetes across India. Of the total death from major disease groups, 62% of all deaths were caused by non-communicable diseases, shortly NCD, which are lifestyle diseases. Globally, 14.2 million people between the ages of 30 to 69 years die prematurely each year from diseases like heart attack, diabetes, and high blood pressure. Some of these diseases have emerged as more fatal than hereditary diseases or infectious ones. 11 most common type of lifestyle diseases in India especially are obesity, type 2 diabetes, arteriosclerosis, heart disease, high blood pressure, swimmer's ear, cancer, stroke, COPD, cirrhosis, and nephritis. Cirrhosis has to do with the liver, nephritis with the kidney. Prevention is remedies or activities that aim to reduce the likelihood of a disease or disorder affecting people. All the processed food contains too much sugar, too much salt, too much oil, whatever crap should not be there. Lifestyle diseases are preventable for children if parents set them on the correct path, as early life decisions and influences can impact people later on in life. Lifestyle diseases can be prevented through reduction in smoking of tobacco, The Australian government has started this by introducing plain packaging for all tobacco products and increasing the prices of tobacco production. In India, we are printing the warning, statutory warning, which doesn't have any effect on the smokers or drinkers. Overweightness and obesity can be prevented through a well-balanced lifestyle, through healthy eating and exercise. Prevention can come about by a person undertaking 30 minutes of moderate exercise daily or by doing 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise a week. Examples of moderate exercise include a brisk walk, swim, bike ride, or it can also be everyday life activities like mowing the lawn or house cleaning. In addition, animal studies have suggested that early life exercise can reduce the risk of developing metabolic diseases in adulthood. All causes of lifestyle disease can be prevented through giving up smoking and other drugs, reducing one's intake of alcohol, processed meats like bacon and sausages, like in Western countries, especially USA, red meats like pork, beef and lamb. That is also very high in Western countries. They say by the age of 50, they have so much undigested red meat in their intestine, stomach, whatever, fatty foods, and by engaging in daily exercise. However, new studies also show preventive effects on recurrent respiratory tract infections in children through the intake of unprocessed food. Beef, green vegetables, and whole dairy can then have a beneficial effect because they are unprocessed compared to processed foods. Beef, unlike other types of red meat, can contribute to the health promoting effects. It has too much fat. Even pork has the highest amount of fat. The elimination of the cause of illness is the obvious way and only way to healing and health. This is by Stanley Burroughs. This is similar to a famous adage, prevention is better than cure. Lifestyle related diseases are on the rise in our country. These preventable chronic diseases are the outcome of our unhealthy choices. Identifying the causes of lifestyle diseases is critical because the elimination of the causes is the obvious and only way to achieve healing and enhanced health. First, we make a mistake when we confuse the name of the disease with the causes of the disease. Contrary to popular belief, a heart attack is not caused by cardiovascular disease. Cardiovascular disease is not the cause. It is just the name of the disorder that led to eventual dysfunction, shutdown, or attack of the system. Cardiovascular disease and the subsequent heart attack is a result of exposure to a combination of risk factors over a period of time. Major causes of lifestyle diseases are dehydration, malnutrition, inflammation, fatigue, poor physical fitness, poor health habits, obesity, increases the risk of associated diseases such as hypertension, diabetes, breathing difficulties when sleeping, and orthopedic disorders. Obesity that starts during childhood of adolescence and continues into adulthood compounds the risk of associated diseases. If you are overweight, you risk developing type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, certain cancer, hypertension, strokes, apoplexy, gallstones, and osteoarthritis. If you are obese, there is also increased risk of complications resulting from anesthesia and surgery, including impaired wound healing. People who are overweight die earlier than people with normal weight profiles. Studies in the US has indicated that 40-year-olds with a body mass index, shortly BMI, which is the ratio of weight in kg divided by height in meter square. BMI score of over 30 can expect to die 6 to 7 years earlier than people with normal weight profiles. These BMI norms vary from country to country. A healthy diet, even the BP norms and sugar norms vary from country to country. A healthy diet contains important nutrients that are required to prevent disease and sufficient calories to meet the daily requirement. Your diet should include fruit, vegetables, and whole wheat products and a low content of saturated fatty acids. You should eat fish several times a week. It has omega-3 acid, which is good for the body. All of us study about food pyramid and importance of eating balanced food. but we don't practice such good concepts in real life. In 2005, the Danish Nutrition Council, now defunct, it doesn't exist now, published new dietary guidelines in accordance with the Nordic recommendations. Eat fruits and vegetables 6 times a day, eat fish and fish products, eat potatoes, rice or pasta, and whole meal bread every day. Carbohydrates, go easy on the sugar, especially fizzy drinks, sweets and cake. Go easy on fats, especially dairy products and meat. Get a varied diet, remain at a normal weight, quench your thirst with water, do exercise at least 30 minutes a day. Chronic diseases, specifically heart disease, stroke, diabetes, obesity, metabolic syndrome, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and some types of cancer used to be considered the disease of industrialized countries, so-called Western diseases, or diseases of affluence. However, internationally, they are known as communicable, non-communicable, and chronic diseases, part of the degenerative diseases group. It affects our health in the long run. That's why it is called degenerative. Chronic disease can result in loss of independence, years of disability or death, and impose a considerable economic burden on health services. Today, chronic diseases are a major public health problem worldwide. In 2005, the World Health Organization, shortly WHO, estimated that 61% of all deaths, 35 million, and 49% of the global burden of disease were attributable to chronic diseases. By the year 2030, the proportion of total global deaths due to chronic disease is expected to increase to 70%, and the global burden of disease to 56%. The greatest increase is anticipated in the African and Eastern Mediterranean regions. The combination of 4 healthy lifestyle factors, maintaining healthy weight, exercising regularly, following a healthy diet, and not smoking, seem to be associated with as much as an 80% reduction in the risk of developing the most common and deadly chronic diseases. Modest but adjustable adjustments to lifestyle behaviors are likely to have a considerable impact at the individual and population level. Health professionals and the media now repeatedly carry the message that to remain healthy, people need to adopt healthy behaviors. Not adopt, I would say adapt. It should vary from country to country. Physical activity, cessation of tobacco consumption, eating a high fiber, low fat diet, controlling body weight, and learning to cope with stress reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease, cancer, and premature mortality. A comprehensive public health approach to tobacco control effectively inhibits the beginning of tobacco use and promotes its cessation through a range of measures including tax and price policy, restriction on tobacco advertising, promotion and sponsorship, packing and labeling requirements, educational campaigns, restrictions on smoking in public places, and cessation support services. A comprehensive approach must include young people to reach the entire population. National policy measures known to have the biggest impact on individual levels of consumption, cessation rates, and initiation rates require sustained political will and engagement, and above all, effective and well-enforced legislation. Furthermore, effective public health measures are urgently needed to promote physical activity and improve the health around the world. The challenge of promoting physical activity is as much the responsibility of governments as of people. People are leading a highly sedentary lifestyle, watching TV, working on computers, using cell phones. It's all really bad for the health, eyes, whatever. However, individual action for physical, we call them couch potatoes. However, individual action for physical activity, eating junk food. However, individual action for physical activity is influenced by the environment, sports and recreational facilities, and national policy. It requires coordination among many sectors such as health, sports, education and culture policy, media and information, transport, urban planning, local governments, and financial and economic planning. Towards this end, the WHO is supporting its member states by providing nationwide evidence-based advocacy on the health, social and economic benefits of healthy lifestyles. Chronic diseases are considered as the public health challenge of the 21st century. Mental illnesses and chronic diseases are closely related. Chronic disease can exacerbate exacerbate symptoms of depression, and depressive disorders can themselves lead to chronic diseases. Heart disease and stroke remain the first and third leading causes of death, accounting for more than 30% of all mortality, 30, and are among the leading causes of disability, especially stroke, paralysis. During the past 2 decades, tremendous progress has been made in developing and using effective cancer prevention strategies, early detection interventions, and cancer treatments, largely through public health efforts targeting screening. Breast cancer deaths among women decreased by 2% per year from 1998 to 2005, and deaths from colorectal cancer decreased among both men and women by 4% per year from 1995 to 2005. Lung cancer remains the leading cause of cancer death in more men and women. It is because of either passive smoking or active smoking. Sometimes it can be because of working conditions also, like if you are working in quarries, either sand or granite quarries, and sometimes people using the old chulas, old urdan, the conventional stoves with firewood, that can also lead to lung cancer. More than 80% of lung cancers are due to smoking or exposure to secondhand smoke, also known as passive smoking. Silicosis and asbestosis are very common in India because of not banning carcinogenic substances like asbestos. Silicosis is because of exploitation of people and making them work like slaves in quarries, especially granite quarries, besides sand quarries. In rural areas, as I said before, people still use the conventional method of cooking, chulas, with firewood, etc., which results in chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD. Similarly, usage of fireworks containing so many hazardous chemicals results in COPD, and people lose their precious lives too. Smoking is the primary risk factor for chronic respiratory diseases, pulmonary, such as emphysema and chronic bronchitis, asthma, both of which are major conditions of COPD. Mouth and throat diseases such as tooth decay, periodontal, gum disease, and oral cancers cause pain and disability. 4 modifiable health risk behaviors: lack of physical activity, poor nutrition, tobacco use, and excessive alcohol consumption are responsible for much of the illness, suffering, and early death related to chronic diseases. Good nutrition can help lower the risk for many chronic diseases, including heart disease, stroke, some cancers, diabetes, and osteoporosis. Increased consumption of fruits and vegetables helps reduce the risk for heart disease and certain cancers as well. If you are a meat eater, go for lean meat like fish, chicken, not beef, pork, or other animal meat. Managing weight is all about balance, balancing the number of calories consumed with the number of calories the body uses or burns off. There are limitations on these things depending on one's age, gender, I would say region, whatever. Prevention encompasses health promotion activities that encourage healthy living and limit the actual initial onset of chronic diseases. Prevention also embraces early detection efforts such as screening at risk populations as well as strategies for appropriate management of existing diseases and related complications. It is estimated that worldwide approximately 14.2 million people between the age of 30 to 70 die every year due to lifestyle diseases. Tips to this is going through the roof again. It's not a fixed figure. What I am quoting is a whole figure. Tips to prevent lifestyle diseases are: a wholesome diet is absolutely essential for a health and well-being. Wholesome diet, balanced. It is essential to strike a perfect balance between food and physical activity. One has to burn off the calories, excess calories. Any kind of addiction, whether it is of alcohol, nicotine, or any other form of drug, can ruin your health in the worst way possible. Make sure you keep a close watch on your body weight. Extra weight, especially near the tummy, pot belly, has been linked with cardiovascular diseases. Deaths. Anything in excess is bad for health. High intake of sugar, salt and oil can lead to serious repercussions in the form of diabetes, blood pressure and heart problems due to high cholesterol, empty calories. Cut down the usage of these 3 ingredients in your food. Take good care of your body. It's the only place you live in. Periodic health checkups can offer a thorough analysis of your current health status. Take charge of your health before it is too late. You can never set right your mistakes in your later parts of life. Some of these damages are irreversible. I know some of you have the tendency to argue, debate at this point of time. I will preempt such arguments. It is a fact that our lifespan has increased, but the reason is we are spending more money on medical treatment and medicines. Quality of life has degraded. It has gone down the drain. About 50 years back, people led healthy lives because of nutritious diet, less pollution, whether it be air, water, noise, peaceful life and low stress levels, cultured behavior, etc. They seldom visited hospitals or consulted medical doctors. For most of the ailments, they used to have conventional remedies using natural herbs, spices, etc. Even my mother used to do that. She is no more. Nowadays in medical field, there is a proliferation of specialities, and I would say it is oversaturated. For each and every finger of our hand, there is a specialist. Do we need so many specialities? Medical field is a booming industry in so-called space age, mainly a result of enhancement of lifestyle diseases besides population explosion. They enjoy fishing in troubled waters because the bounty is excellent. Whatever I have stated are based on my personal experiences so far in my life. Debates, discussion on topics like this can go on forever. There is no end. Anyhow, let me call it a day. We'll meet again real soon. Rest in peace and harmony. Always watch these videos with the closed captions, subtitles for absolute 100% comprehension as per my persistent recommendation. I know I rushed through to complete the presentation within 20 minutes max. This is the time limit I had set myself to retain the viewer's attention. Am I right, guys? I know nowadays I exceed this time limit since I make honest attempts to cover the selected topic more elaborately, including so many intricate details, referring a wide variety of resources, in particular Wikipedia extensively, besides articles and books published recently. Stay at home as much as possible to maintain social distancing attributed to pandemic novel COVID-19 and prolong your lifespan. Lead a healthy life. God alone, which is a superpower, can put a stop to natural or unnatural, maybe bio-war and cyber war events like pandemics, which may lead to apocalypse and extinction of all sentient species on Earth. All the best.